Welcome to the Crumb Cake Kitchen. Mermaid cakes are trendier than ever, and I'm going to show you how I make my signature mermaid cake. The majority of my cakes are made in Swiss meringue buttercream, and this one is no exception, with easily removable fondant decorations. Please remember to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Let's get started. To make this cake, you'll need some silicone molds. I'm using a seahorse, angelfish, seashells, and a mermaid tail. This mermaid cake is made in a soft pastel color palette, and the final product feels like a fairy tale cake. Begin with a light dusting of cornstarch or confectioner's sugar in the silicone mold. I like multicolored mermaid tails, so I'll add a little blue, purple, and pink fondant. These decorations could be made in chocolate as well. I've chosen fondant since not everyone has experience with chocolate and tempering can be tricky at first. Roll the fondant into the mold to ensure that each crevice is completely filled. Take a sharp knife and begin to remove the excess fondant. Once all the excess is removed, take your finger and gently pull the edges into the mold so you have a nice crisp edge on your mermaid tail. Turn the mold upside down and gently push on the backside to release the mermaid tail onto the mat. Take a small skewer and push it through the bottom of the tail. If you're not putting all of the tails on top of the cake, they won't require a skewer. For a nice variation, you can marble some of your shapes. I love the look of a marbled mermaid tail. Choose the colors and amounts you want and lay them side by side on the mat. Roll them together and occasionally flip them over on themselves before rolling out again. This creates an awesome marble effect. The more times you do this, the more the colors will be mixed. Be careful, if you go too far, then the colors begin to blend together and the marble effect is lost. I don't have a starfish mold, so I use a flower cutter to make them. Once I cut out the stars, I shape them with my fingers and often add little details with a Dresden tool. Repeat the same marbled process for the fish. Seashells look best with white and gray marbled fondant. Don't roll them out too much so they keep that nice line detail. Make about 30 seashells altogether. To make the seaweed, add a little Tylose powder to your fondant. Roll the fondant out onto a dusted surface, approximately 1/8 of an inch thick. Cut out several strips of fondant while keeping the top pointed and narrow like a blade of grass. Make a nice straight cut on the bottom and gently twist the strips until they look like wavy seaweed. Lay them out on a flat surface to dry. Make several different lengths. Don't forget your seahorse. I usually add 1 or 2 of these to the cake. It's time to add some shimmer to these adorable pieces. I'm using Roxy & Rich Edible Luster Dust in Satin White and Rainbow Dust Edible Gold paint. Put a generous coat of luster dust on the mermaid tails. The more shimmer you add, the more they look like fish scales. Paint the tips with gold paint. Repeat the same process with a fish and seahorse. I like to paint their eyes with a simple gold dot. Set your accent pieces aside to dry for at least 2 days before using them. I often make them a week or two in advance, especially if humidity is high. Now it's time to apply the buttercream to your cake. Make 2 colors of blue. I'm using AmeriColor Sky Blue. I slowly add my color to the buttercream with a paintbrush, so I don't add too much at one time. It can take several minutes to bring it to the color I want. Once you're happy with the lightest color, remove 3/4 of the buttercream from the bowl and add a little more blue to the remainder to deepen it. Begin with a crumb-coated and chilled cake. Add the lightest color to the top of the cake and at least halfway down the sides. Then add the darker color. Take your bench scraper and smooth the cake until you have nice straight sides and sharp edges. If you'd like to see how to get sharp edges and straight, smooth sides, click on the link above for my tutorial. Now your blank canvas is ready for some mermaid magic. Start by adding your mermaid tails to the top and sides of the cake. The tails take up the most space and it'll be hard to add them later. Second, add the seaweed. Try to make small groupings of seaweed cut to different lengths for a natural look. Add your small fish, seahorses, and starfish where they best fit. There's no set pattern here, and adding the fish at different heights looks the best. If you continue around the entire cake, this cake will look great from every angle. Add your seashells to the top of the cake in a random and overlapping pattern. Push them into the buttercream, but when you can't, add a little piping gel or buttercream to the bottom of the shell to help it stick. I like a half-moon stacked pattern for the shells. Save some shells to place around the bottom of the cake. The addition of gold air bubbles for each fish and seahorse helps those little creatures come to life. Add 3 to 5 dragées for this effect. I'm using the crystal katana tool to apply the dragées. If you do a lot of work with dragées, consider investing in this tool. Last but not least, every mermaid cake needs some pearls. Here you go, one magical buttercream mermaid cake that will blow your special someone away. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you'd like to help my channel grow, please subscribe and click the bell for future notifications. Thank you for watching.